Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us. This is TJF Talks. I'm Chris.
I'm Cheetah, and on the podcast, we invite notables to talk about jazz, the life, the music, the vibes, everything in between. We like to call it improvisations.
And today we welcome Casey Hadland. He's Tucson's genre-blurring drummer, composer, and band leader of the Sunshower Collective. Known for fusing jazz, punk, R&B, and art rock, Casey's one of our city's most forward-thinking voices. He's not just playing drums, he's expanding jazz's frontier right here at home.
And he tells some stories about here at home. You're going to enjoy a little comment about Tucson and the local scene and influences. Talks about somebody you know, Mr. Bob Becker. And he also talks about that very moment when he sees a kiddo at his show where he can tell that's the very first time that child has ever experienced live music. It's a really cool story. So let's do this. Let's get on with the show.
Yeah, so we're talking with Casey Hadland here, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I was really excited when you talked about it, and it's just an honor. And anything I can do to support what you're doing here,
Oh,
it's really
thank you.
And likewise, I mean, you
great.
are an amazing person in our community, and we were just talking about how you travel around and do different things, and so.
We sort of start off with random questions. Could be
Okay.
about music, and most likely will be, but
Right.
we call it improvisations because for the obvious reasons, we're
And
going to
we're
improv
clever.
some chit chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll
Get
get
my
to go.
brain going this early.
Yeah.
I'll go rogue a little bit and maybe ask you some wild questions or
Okay.
something.
I'll be ready.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's.
I'm already thinking of my answers.
Yeah, exactly. Have them all pre-made.
That's right.
Let me
That's
pull out my typed sheet of paper here that I have for every question that could possibly ever be asked. All right, let's do this. You are known as a drummer, and within that concept, I know that a lot of music, your influences are jazz and R&B and punk and funk, and it's just all over the place, and it's wonderful. So I'm curious to how do those different influences affect your approach to the drum set, and also maybe as a composer as well?
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about more. I think it's cool to have a bunch of different influences, or that's just how it worked out. I think you just have to follow your interest, and that's what my interests was kind of eclectic, so you have to follow it. But I think and it definitely influences the stuff that I write. The stuff that I write is almost separate. It's like a sacred thing, and I just have to try and quiet the noise and hear what I'm supposed to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I think it's lame, or even if it's not the coolest thing, I have to follow it and kind of do that.
Mhm.
And I think that's cool where a bunch of different influences creep in. Some indie lyrics over some jazz chords or something, or some sad emo melodies over some different stuff, over a backbeat. And I like that.
Yeah.
It's a little hard as a gigging musician sometimes. I feel like I can bounce around a little too much in my day-to-day practice, and I can end up not really going deep on concepts, and so they're very shallow things that I'm they're not ingrained enough yet to be able to reproduce on the bandstand, and so sometimes it feels a little shaky. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to go deeper, spend some time. I've been just transcribing Tony Williams lately, and I'm just trying to do that. Even though maybe this weekend I have a backbeat gig or R&B gig, and I know it's not going to be that great, or I'm not going to have that music in my head, but I still think I need to be deeper, stay on one thing longer, to really get it ingrained, and then move on. And then maybe next month, that was something Patrick Morris actually talked about. Every month he would do a different genre.
Oh, and just do a deep dive and listening and playing and transcribing.
Yeah, because I can just jump around, and that's fine too. But I think trying to really get something to where you can hear it and emulate it in all the chaos of what's happening in live music, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. I really admire people that can jump from different genres.
Yeah,
and sound good.
So when you're composing, that you bring up a good point of being able to turn off the noise and settle in, and you have all these different influences. Do you have that moment where you're writing something and it feels like you know it, but you're not sure what influence it's drawing from? It's probably and that it's it is coming from you, but you know it's like the amalgamation maybe of several different things you've
Oh,
heard. Have you
totally.
had that experience?
Yeah. I'm always like, oh, that's from that. Even songs, I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of that one song, or like that's that same feeling of that song.
Right.
And I'll like, yeah, just different things pop up. And sometimes if it's a little too close, maybe I'm like, all right, I okay.
There's
Like,
a chance
I'm like,
that could
it's
be.
too close. And other
Yeah.
times you're just like, man, all right, I'm gonna use it. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool, and that's what I heard.
Yeah.
And that's the melody or whatever. That's like the progression. That's the beat, and you use it. Music is always, to me, it's always been recycled and changed a little bit, and so
Like
yeah.
early jazz or early rock and roll is 1/6/25 or 1/4/5,
Mhm.
and there's literally thousands of songs all built on
Yeah.
that progression.
Totally.
Does it ever, talking about this kind of thing, there's this sense of nothing is ever new or brand new, right? It's at some point in
Yeah.
music life been done before, but you're like, I'm just going to go with it. And then, so when in the news you hear that somebody's being sued by this person or that person,
right.
do you ever think, oh no, I better not do that because that might be, and I don't know for sure,
No,
but does it ever really surprise you when you hear that? I don't think it's intentional is why I'm asking.
Yeah, yes. That's like a whole nother I'm not in that world.
Right,
no
right.
one's they would see my bank account and be like, I couldn't take anything from this guy, Like I fly under the radar on all that stuff, and I'm grateful for it in some ways. So.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's shift course here. Let's talk about Sunshower. Okay. First question: how did you get the name, and why the weird spelling? And it's not weird; it's actually really unique. But but I feel like it means something.
You can like find meaning out of anything, but it was like it's hard to find band names now that aren't like already used. I would say if I were to do it again, I wouldn't do Sunshower because it's so easy. It's like, I think a good band name has like, it's like very clear and it's words that people know, not like a change of a word. So Sunshower, everyone's like Sunshower, Sunflower, and it's like, but I don't know. Grew up in the desert, and the sun is obviously a big influence. And like it was just like something we would say, oh, I got chowed by the sun, or I got eaten by the sun today, or something. You're sunburnt and like, feel like you're just melting with a heat stroke. So yeah. That was kind of the background of it.
So it's a made up word.
It's a made up, I think.
It's your Google.
Yeah. Search engine optimization.
That's right.
You got it.
Well, and the name is unique, and the sound that the collective produces is super unique. Like, how do you define that sound, or how do you go about creating that sound?
Defining it is definitely hard. I think everyone struggles with that.
Right.
Like, what does your band sound like? And you're just like,
God, this question.
Sometimes you're like, you're like, we're a rock band, and that's, but it's, there's so many different subgenres in the subgenre on the subgenre, and it's just like kind of like a game almost, or like a funny thing. So it's hard to. I do struggle when people ask like, "What kind of music?" I just usually say something snarky. It's good music.
It's just good music.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he said,
Louis
like
Armstrong said that.
Yeah, Louis Armstrong. It followed him, and Quincy Jones said the same thing. It's just like, don't define my music. It's either good or it's bad.
Yeah.
And then it's subjective too. On top of that,
totally subjective.
It's very and I think there's a little bit where you have to commit and just like make a statement, whether it's going to be good or bad, like whether people like it or not,
Yeah. Are you trying, do you purposely try to elicit different emotions through like certain songs, or like what's the process there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, each song is kind of developed differently a little bit, but just kind of trying to follow that first idea. Maybe I hear something that I like, and I'll transcribe it or try and figure it out, and then I'll be, okay, what is it that I like about it? Okay, it's this motion of harmony or something, and I'm like, all right, let's do that. Or maybe I'm like a rhythm or something. I'm like, oh, that rhythm is so cool. Like I got to do something with that, and then build from there, and follow it, and then it kind of just turns into its own thing and its own emotion. And then lyrics is another thing that I've been working on more recently, and that's a whole nother thing of like, usually it's like finding what kind of lyric thing that I have in my head fits that idea now that is developed into an emotion, and not trying to force it, and just trying to see how they fit together, kind of. Yeah, and then I'm a very visual person. Like my mom was a visual artist, and like I think that's like just something actually more than my ears. My eyes are like, they're picking up on a lot of stuff. And I'll have like, when I'm writing stuff or even when I'm playing a gig, I'll have like flashbacks of like different places that I've been or hiked, or maybe, you know, it could be anywhere. It could be like a beautiful sunset or something, or it could be like a dumpster alley in Oakland, you know, or like something. For some reason, that memory popped up with something that was happening right then. And it's a weird connection that I have been like kind of been curious about, but sometimes that happens, and then that helps me kind of like solidify what emotion it is, I guess.
That's really cool because, you know, memories and reminiscing and being, you know, waxing nostalgic and all those things kind of, they all go with music. And
Yeah.
so that while you're making it, that's happening.
Yeah,
You know, you've got a movie
memories.
going on in your
It's
head
a
there.
crazy thing how it works. You can like the things that like if you're a conversation with an old friend and he'll say something and all of a sudden you remember this whole thing that you haven't thought about in years, and it's like it's in there, you know, but it's like not accessible unless like triggered or unless like someone else gets you there.
Yeah.
It's such a curious thing.
And I wonder what part of, I mean, this is just me being nerdy about it and geeking out right now, but like, I wonder what part of the brain, something is obviously, like you said, triggered in there. And so it would be interesting to really dive deep.
Yes, which sensory is connected.
Yeah.
I think it's, to me, it always goes back to, and I hear this time and time again with people we talk with and just talking with fellow musicians, it's that universal language of music. It starts talking to maybe our inner soul or however you believe at a little different subconscious level.
Totally.
And
yeah, any art.
Yeah.
You know, it's the emotional, that's how you can connect to a lot of people. Like circumstances may be different, but everyone's felt sadness. Everyone's felt, you know, and not even sadness, some of the more complex emotions, you know, like envy or something. Everyone's felt that, you know, so it's like you can like, that can be translated. And then that's like the universal language thing, you know. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about approach to music. Like, for instance, I know you've played over at our local club, Century Room, from a regular gig, and then you also do a lot of the late night jams too.
Yeah, yeah.
So how would you approach a late night set differently than from something that happens earlier? Or is there any conscious effort to approach it differently?
Yeah. Yeah, and it also changes too on whether or not I'm booking it or whether or not I'm hired to play. I think, you know, if I'm hired to play, I'm kind of reading how much effort the person, you know, that's running it is like putting into it and trying to match that effort. You know, sometimes, you know, it's a late night and or whatever gig it is, you know, like it's a smaller gig or something, and it doesn't pay that well, but the person is like trying to work on their write original music, maybe put an album out like in the spring or something, and like so I'll practice a lot for those gigs, even though they, you know, the pay to play isn't that great, you know, hours practicing versus what you're getting paid, and but it's still worth it. You're trying to match their energy and like how much they care about it. And other times, and I'm not saying that it's better or worse to care about something a lot versus not. Some of the best musical experiences have happened because the band leaders have been just like, do whatever you want. Like, we're just going to call tunes and it's going to be fine. And like that, and that coming in with that freedom and like being like, I trust you. That's what they're saying. You know, I trust you. This is going to be great and we're going to find it. And that is like really cool to get that freedom.
Is there a musician that you've played with that you know is going to do that every time? And it obviously feels good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch. Tucson is I feel so grateful to be here and be coming up right now. Like with because I grew up in Vegas, and then just when I first came here, there wasn't this scene as much, and so there's a lot of really amazing musicians. I mean, tons of people that I play with that do. They just like they want to reach, and they're trying to find a sound, and they're exploring, you know, and they're like that. Freedom is really cool, where you feel like you can do no wrong, and even if you do, they got your back.
Yeah,
like that whole, you know, like the Miles thing, where you know you can play the note that makes the mistake right.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And that trust goes a long way. There's a lot of artists. I mean, like Patrick, I mentioned him. I play a lot with him. Tuya, Naima Moore, Alassane, Ryan Wheelis. I mean, I can go Eric Nakanishi, Colin McElrath, like all Chris Pena. I mean, and there's tons of others. Like they all are just amazing musicians. You know, I get to play with. Yeah.
So you mentioned something that not all of our listeners would necessarily know the difference. And I'd be interested in you defining it and
Oh boy.
between sideman and frontman.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
what are those things?
Yeah.
Something that's common between you and I as musicians, but they mean something different in how you approach what you're doing. So
yeah, it's a different approach, and that is like it is a weird thing. That's what I get the most of, like when people say like, "Oh, you like make a living playing music?" It's like, well, what band are you in?
oh, I know, right? Oh my gosh.
It's like
I'm in them all.
Like, let me explain how this works, but you don't have time, so you're just like, I don't know. You name a band, they don't know it, and then,
Right.
That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, but like it's like well, and that's also the thing too. It's so individual how someone can make a living doing this,
Right.
So like there's so many different avenues, so many different cracks that you can fall into and pathways that just happen. And like, so it is like, it is actually like a valid question, even though sometimes it's phrased not in a great way, but it's like, yeah, for what you were saying though, like your question, like sideman versus like, front man or like band leader, like so I'll sideman, you're just getting a phone call, hey, what are you doing next Thursday night? I love when people if you're listening, include all the details in the first text.
Oh my gosh.
When, where, what time, how much
What
pay,
time?
like any details you have, like I don't care if it like doesn't pay much or like doesn't, like don't
I
try
just
and
need to
hide
know it
anything.
all.
Just
Yeah.
know it all, because then like it's like a balancing act of like, maybe you have another thing that is like more like pays more that night, or like is like I was saying, like a project that someone's really been caring about, so you want to like make sure there's room for just anything. Oh, what time's the sound check? Like any information that you have, you're really good at that. And it's like, so that sideman, you're getting a phone call and you're like, I feel like I'm providing a service to that person, and it's kind of like, they're obviously calling you for a reason. So you're bringing some of yourself, but then, also you're just like, and I'm trying to ask more about this, like, what is, what sound are you like trying to get? What,
Right.
like, even if it's just like, oh, it's a jazz gig. It's like, well, what kind of jazz are we talking? Like what kind of drums, how interactive, what, you know what I mean? Like,
It's fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to like be a little, and some people, but it's a good conversation that I've been trying to ask a little bit more. So that's how I feel like, and it's just so that I can like, do right to their gig and their music and fulfill their vision,
Right.
And then band leading, that's the stressful part for me. Not the music side. It's just like the booking and like, oh, I hope people show up. Did I do enough promotion? Like all that stuff is just like, it really is not fun for me. But I love creating events or creating a night where like, yeah, you can get to some cool music and your friends can be featured and seen, and like, and you can create something together that like isn't sometimes never going to be repeated, and like, and so that's why I do the band leading thing, is just to create more of those spots. And I think I would really encourage any like sideman to like have some sort of band leading thing in the back pocket, because I think more sidemen should be band leaders. They're the best band leader. If you've played 1,000 gigs and like you just like know what it is, then you know what to tell me when I'm getting hired to play your gig. You know
Right.
exact what to say, and like all the information to give. And it's just like they get it. Like, they know that it's like, because some people it's like they're like, they'll play like the 4 gigs a year and it's like so important to them. And I'm like, this is like my Tuesday. This is like,
Right.
I've one right after this, like this,
Mhm.
and it's like,
It's
there's
perspective.
there's only so much you can give time for that, for that gig.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah, it's an interesting dance that we do.
Is there a
And
step,
yeah.
do you, as the musician, or if you were, giving advice to a musician friend, is there a step, you're like, okay, you're in the place now where you need to step from sideman to leader.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just selfishly so that there's more, like, I'm not saying, if you want to be a sideman, that is like a full, like, it is a very respectable thing. And it's very hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, some people may not desire.
Exactly.
They're like, I'm good.
I'm super happy supporting
Right.
like other great musicians that have and
it's challenging. It's
very challenging
to change the cap and change your whole entire touch and everything for this one gig. It's like incredible. There's some really great players that do that. Matt Mitchell is one of my favorite, who just, it seems like whatever he's on, it sounds right. And It sounds good, and it's just always blows me away.
Do you think that's in his decision making on what items to choose?
Oh yeah,
100%?
it's conscious. And I mean, he's just studied music so much,
Yeah.
and he's listened to so many things, so he knows he's pulling. When he hears something, he has like 10 records in his head that he's like can pull from, of like, oh, this is what to play with this,
Yeah.
and make it sound good and lift that person up. He's
Yeah.
really good at that.
I think
That's
we're like traipsing around like the three things that happen at a gig for a musician, and you have to have 2 out of the 3
Okay.
in order for him to
yeah.
go. So the hang has to be good,
Yeah.
the music has to be good,
I've heard you say
and the
this.
money has to be good.
Yeah.
And if you have 2 out of the 3,
Then you take the gig.
You take the
take
gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music made
Now
some
I
money.
know.
Yep.
That's what
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're talking about the Tucson scene. Like how has the scene, the players here, you've mentioned several, like how has that affected like your overall like musical soundscape of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely affected by it. Like, there's just people that in the community that just, I still, they'll make me turn my head. I'm like, dang, who's that up there? And it's Max,
Right.
and he's
Oh,
just
well.
like doing his thing. Yeah. And like Max Goldsmith, shout out. Make sure I say his full name so people can look him up. But and that just feeling like it helps me, maybe not get complacent and like feel challenged.
Mhm.
There's times when I'm playing with people in town where I feel like they're going someplace and I'm like, like I can't get there. Like I don't have the facility to get where you're going. Like, and that's so frustrating. Those are the most frustrating. And it's like, that's when, you just, and that's what sucks is like, you can't just like fix it overnight. You just have to be like, all right, I got to keep practicing. I got to keep going down this road so that next time that opportunity comes up, I can match his energy or play the right emotion thing, and like, it sucks when your facility hangs up on that, Yeah, you're just like, and and you can still sound professional, but and get through the gig, but it's like, it's inspiring, and that's how I feel with a bunch of players here in Tucson. They're just always inspiring me, whether it's like facility or concept, just like their concept of their sound, and it's like really defined and it's like really clear and really artistic, and like and that's also so beautiful, and it can be like really inspiring for me.
That's awesome. You're edging on like something else I wanted to ask you about is mentors, and we all have lots of mentors. Sometimes it's the people that you're playing with. They might be your colleagues, same age. It might be somebody that's been doing this thing for a long time. And we have lots of different mentors from different stages in our lives, different type of music, different things they taught us. In fact, you and I have a similar mentor. I used to study percussion, and I read that you worked with Bob Becker.
Oh, yeah.
Who's arguably the world's greatest ragtime xylophone artist ever. I don't think anybody in the industry would ever argue that he's not the best.
He's special for sure.
Yeah, he is.
It's incredible.
So, and well before you, I'm a little bit older, I had time with him as well.
Oh, cool.
And it was not that I go out and play professional ragtime xylophone.
Yeah,
that's not my thing. But there, and I know you don't either. It's not really a thing that you get called for. But but there's got to be some influences from like a great musician like that you carry with you, or maybe there's others as well. Is there something that golden nugget of information that you've learned?
Yeah, I don't know about like there's no easy tricks or whatever.
No.
But you mentioned Bob Becker, and that reminded me. We were talking about how memory works. I was at his xylophone camp. It was somewhere out east. I don't remember where, but it was like it's so intense, and it's like you're just a whole bunch of new people, and everyone's killing, everyone's good, and you're kind of just like, oh man, it's stressful a little bit, and you're trying to prove yourself or like be seen, and So at the end of the week, we did a performance, and there were some that we played individually or as a group, and then or small like combos, and then we did like a bigger ensemble piece where he was leading, and he was playing with us, and it was like midway through the concert, and he's addressing the audience, talking about the next piece, and it's in this big hall, and it's like super. There's a bunch of reverb. It's like a cathedral almost, and like one of the students. That was like in the back towards like, and they dropped their stick, And it was just like clink, clink on a wooden floor, you know what I mean? While he's talking, you know, and you can just you just feel the room. Everyone's like, oh, like who did that, you know?
Yeah.
And Bob Becker, without even missing a beat, he's holding his mallets and he just goes like this and he drops them and he keeps talking. And I was like, whoa, just that simple. Like, you know, he was thinking, he's like, oh, that's got to be embarrassing or whatever. And he's like, here, I'll do it too. And I was just like, that totally, I'll always remember that. And that's how I want to approach, you know, when you're on the bandstand, it's a sacred place. It doesn't matter if you're like, you know, so-and-so, and you know, or just a nobody, you know, just playing. When you're on the bandstand, you're on the same gig. So it's like, let's get through this. Let's like, you know, you're trying to just lift everybody up and support them and try and make everyone sound good and feel comfortable. That's usually how you sound good, is when just whatever it takes so the band feels comfortable. And that was just like a huge,
like
signal.
we're all in this together.
Yeah, it's like, dude,
Yeah,
I dropped sticks too. It's all good. You know?
Yeah,
You know?
like in a strange way, it's like, okay, going to take the focus off of that right now
Well,
by
yeah,
being
exactly.
the same, and then people will forget about it. And you can forget about it and move on with the show.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's always, Hiatus Coyote talked about that too. Ben, the bass player, I forget his last name, but he talked about that. Like, he's like, because they're playing shows and touring a bunch, and he was like, you know, the shows that I liked the most were when something went wrong.
Yeah.
And they'd have to figure something out. They'd have to, like, because I was like the excited, like, oh, you know, because they're playing mostly the same stuff every night. So like, I'm sure when something goes wrong, it's like
ooh. Like,
yeah,
you're
like,
testing our musicianship.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to come together as a band and figure this out?
Exactly. Come together as a band too. That's a good way to put it. Because a lot of times the solution is like somehow making something together, you know, and that Hiatus Coyote, they're one of my favorite bands that do that. They're so inspiring. You know,
they
all
are.
those guys,
So
deep musicians.
speaking of some people that you know pretty well, and one of our favorite things to do in the improvisations is talk to someone you know, whether it's someone you admire or that you coach or play with. We found a friend to ask a question. And
Yeah. So you mentioned Ryan before, Ryan Willis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I say, like, Ryan, what's a question you want to ask Casey?
Oh, funny.
Yeah. So like, what's the wild or most unexpected challenge you've faced leading Sunshower?
Oh man, I don't know. I think honestly, what comes to mind is like dealing with the logistical and like the. It's like not even with music. It's like personal skills, like, you know, dealing with booking agents or dealing with like, you know, a show's going late and you're the last act and you're like, dude, we're gonna have 5 minutes to play if this man doesn't get off stage, or like, you know, and like that situation, it's like, like I don't want to be in that situation.
You're like,
you know,
time
It's
management,
like,
come on.
Yeah, I don't want to
No
be
one
that
does.
guy that's like, you know, I want to just chill and enjoy their set, but then in the back of my mind, you're thinking about something else. Like you're just like, like, so like those challenging I'm thinking of a few just random that are just like the personal like social skills of like dealing with
it's everything that's not the music.
yeah and it sucks because sometimes that stuff it can affect the music, you know. You're just like, yeah, you're getting hounded like before even the gig starts or whatever. The people like the bookers are like, you know, why aren't there people here? Why aren't there people here? We haven't sold enough seats, and you're just like, oh no, like I don't want to think about that. I'm trying to think about what we're about to do, you know. Yeah, and I'm sure that's like, you know, everyone. Maybe if you're removed from that, you have managers and stuff, but I'm sure everyone deals with that in some sense, you know, the awkward personal skills. Yeah. Doing an interview, that's challenging. That's, you know, I wasn't like looking forward to this.
Oh, come on.
I want to support you guys. And I, it's a good conversation.
Yeah. Right.
But it's like the talking part is like always.
Right. Well, you excel at it.
I was saying, it sounds like you're doing really well.
Yeah. So. We've flown through this. Like I told you earlier before we started, sometimes just time flies. And
yeah.
So one last question, and give me your elevator pitch on why live music matters.
Okay, I think I'll just tell you the story or the experience, some of the experience that I had. Like, so after COVID, everything was shut down for like, you know, 2 years. And then gigs are starting up again, playing out live. And you see people walking by, you know, or they're at your gig, and you see their kid, and it's the first time that the kid, you can tell it's the first time the kid is hearing live music, because you can tell the kid is like staring at the band from like way across. The parents are talking or whatever, but the kid is like with his face turned, and he's just like, or he or she is just like, you know, just like wide-eyed stared, and that like, I think that says it all. You know, it's their first time and they're like, what is this? It's a powerful thing. It's like, I mean, any art that you see in person, any sort of like, you know, creative thing, but then, yeah, especially music, it's moving sound waves, you know, it's like changing the vibration of the air and like, yeah. And I think people that know, they know, you know, and if you don't know, like, be open-minded, maybe go see a show and then you'll have an experience for yourself, you know.
That's such a powerful experience.
Really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was multiple times. It wasn't just like one
Once.
kid. We'd see like, I'd be like, oh, that was the first time hearing. Oh, there was another one, you know,
There
the
you
next
go.
day or
We
something.
got
like,
one.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Music gets everybody. I know it.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Casey, how can we find out about you, the projects you're with, where you'll be next? You know, we want to stalk you.
Yeah. I make it a little difficult because I'm not so good at the social media stuff, but Sun Chower on Instagram is probably the thing that I funnel the most through. Yeah, and then, you know, just be a part of the scene. Go to the clubs that, you know, that where music is happening. Usually I'll show up. The Wooden Tooth does shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Cinch Room has been amazing for this town. I'm there all the time. You know, just come hang, and then that's how you hear about the next show. Is just, but yeah, coming out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks again,
Thanks
Casey.
for having me. I really
It's been a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Yeah.